the pharmaceutical companies have benefited greatly from you being afraid of using cannabis as medicine. And so we're now really in a different era where people are choosing medications that are right for their bodies. They want to be more involved in their medical care, and cannabis is an option for some people.
Welcome to American Trade. Cannabis, or more commonly known, marijuana, is a rapidly growing industry. Some experts believe the plant offers medicinal qualities that dramatically and more naturally improve mental and physical wellness. I know this has been a controversial subject over the years. My guest today, Dr. Bridget Williams, will shed some light on the matter and provide insight into what cannabis is and why some are choosing it for medicine. Dr. Williams owns Green Harvest Health, a medical cannabis clinic. Dr. Bridget, tell me, what services do you provide at Green Harvest Health?
So we're a medical cannabis and integrative office. We provide medical cannabis cards, guidance, consultation regarding cannabinoid medicine, as well as life coaching, IV infusion therapy, and we have 2 lines of CBD products.
And tell me a little bit about those lines. What are those products?
Sure. So we have a medicinal line of products called Green Harvest Health. And it is a combination of pain creams, body butters, CBD gummies, and tinctures, all related to really helping people reclaim their wellness. And they are either full spectrum products that have less than 0.3% THC or CBD isolate products as well.
For THC, what does that mean specifically when taking cannabis products?
Sure. So THC is one of the compounds in cannabis and hemp plants, and it provides the more euphoric effect that people seek or are trying to avoid in using cannabis or hemp products.
So those products that have a lesser amount or maybe none, they're still getting the medicinal effects, but not necessarily, like you said, a euphoric effect?
Absolutely. And it still provides added benefits even without the euphoric effect. So that's why we still want it there. And CBD works a little bit better when you have a combination of cannabinoids in the product. So some of our products have a number of cannabinoids, active compounds of cannabis along with THC. Some of them have CBD with other cannabinoids such as CBG or other cannabinoids that help boost the benefits of CBD as well.
For THC, are there limits for medical or medicinal cannabis? Are there limitations as far as how much THC can be in a product? I'm asking for a friend.
For a hemp-based CBD product or a cannabis dispensary product?
You told me. I'm kind of learning a little bit. When you mentioned that, I wasn't sure the difference. So
sure.
By all means, both. Let me know your thoughts on both.
So when you're looking at CBD products, things that you're able to buy over the counter, and apparently they're everywhere from the shoe store to the gas station. But if you're looking at CBD products, those are hemp-based products.
Okay.
Hemp is a form of the cannabis plant that is higher in CBD and very low in THC. So usually less than 0.3% is what we're looking at, right? So for those to be over the counter, it has to hit that mark. The THC cannot be above 0.3%. Okay. Now, if you're looking at CBD or THC products that are in dispensaries in states that have medical cannabis or recreational access, the THC level can be much higher, obviously, in those controlled settings.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the explanation. That was something I was curious about, and I think, as they say, like the more information you have about something, the better decisions you can come to. So, CBD specifically, can you give us a little more information about what CBD is?
Sure, absolutely. So CBD really, it's another active compound of hemp and cannabis plants. It's really the workhorse of cannabis. So if you're talking about what is really bringing most of the medicinal value, it's going to be CBD. And I consider really CBD the cake and THC the icing, both very important, right? But one really does more of the work than the other, right? Okay. What CBD really offers to your body is that it works with your endocannabinoid system. And so what it's able to do is balance out your body as well as repairing receptors, interacting with every other organ and system in your body, and either it's going to up or down regulate different responses or systems to bring about homeostasis or balance. And so it's very beneficial to working with your body, whether it's anxiety, pain, inflammation. There's research that shows it helps decrease cancer cells, strengthen bones, control diabetes, the list goes on, because the reason why it does so much is because it works with every system in the body.
You mentioned a lot of major things
Right.
that people suffer from, and to be able to kind of have a reprieve from that is quite amazing. From one
Absolutely.
drug to be able to cover so much ground.
I was always skeptical of that myself, but the difference is there really isn't on any other system. We're talking about really our endocannabinoid system that has receptors in every aspect of your body.
When a patient comes in to Green Harvest Health, what can they expect from that first consultation or opportunity to meet with you?
Absolutely. So when patients come in, a lot of them are very nervous. For many of them, they have kind of hit the end of the road. Most of their medications aren't doing what they would like. They're experiencing a lot of side effects. They're dealing with the stigma of taking this on as a medicine. And so they come in very nervous and unsure about what the whole procedure will be, right? So number one is really being empathetic to the patient and making them comfortable with understanding that this is an option for them, right? At that time, we're really reviewing their medical history, how they got there, what medications they're on, making sure they understand if there's any contraindications or drug interactions that might occur with cannabis. And then besides providing the form, really giving them really great information about how to utilize cannabis correctly. So you can easily get a card and go to a dispensary and just buy whatever you want. But when you're looking at how the cannabinoids can be very helpful and so different from each other, if you look at the terpenes, which are the essential oils of the cannabis plant, which provide incredible medicinal value, we try to give people combinations and understanding of the plant so that they can choose things that are right for what they're trying to treat.
Okay, so the treatment plan is really kind of listening and discussing and determining what's going to be best for their plan going forward.
Yeah.
Great. How do you help patients perhaps navigate some of the stigma that they may face, maybe from friends or family, if they're choosing cannabis, for their wellness or to improve their current maybe health or wellness situation?
Absolutely. So cannabis is a medicinal plant. And so just as that we shouldn't look at any other medication with judgment, if it's helping you for your medical issues, then you should really focus on what's best for you. Mm-hmm. There are a number of different reasons why we have a stigma around cannabis, whether it is the prohibition that we experienced, the racism that was behind it, the pharmaceutical companies that may have been involved. There are a number of different reasons why we look at it a certain way, and that shouldn't deter you from finding the right medication for you.
With what you've covered there, how do you feel from what you're seeing? Do you see that there is starting to be a change as far as people's feeling about it? Is it a change that's kind of still very slow, or are you seeing kind of a paradigm shift at this point?
It's interesting because I feel for the general community, I feel that there's definitely more and more acceptance, right? Mm-hmm. Because basically you have big, corporations that are more and more involved in the cannabis industry. I do feel that it's still a little bit slower in the Black communities because of what we've experienced. And even though in many ways we've owned this for so long as a medicinal plant, we ran from it because of the war on drugs and what it did to our communities. And so that's a hard thing to turn around. There needs to be a shift in how we look at cannabis. Yeah. And, I think a big problem is that smoking and vaping is like demonized in our country for good reason. I got it, right? But when you see so many images, when the traditional way of using cannabis is smoking, and now smoking is bad, that's part of the issue, right? But you can use cannabis in 100 different ways, and none of them have to do with inhaling. So, and not all inhaling is bad. If someone has a albuterol nebulizer, they're inhaling, right? If someone has like even like a full mass nebulizer with the steam, if you've seen that with asthma patients, that's inhaling.
Great information, a great way to put it. I think sometimes, maybe friends or family have kind of a negative connotation for some of the reasons that you mentioned. And I think hearing and learning more about what it can do for someone, and like you mentioned with THC, and kind of explaining some of those things, help people to better understand. Because it's not, from what I know, various medications come from plants or plant-based or what have you, but we don't always throw that negative connotation.
Right. Yeah, we've been carefully taught to be afraid of it. And there's no better way to influence how people think than to create fear, which is why the reefer madness, the fear that was developed in the 1930s still exists, because of the fear that was placed in people to pull them away from cannabis as an option. The pharmaceutical companies have benefited greatly from you being afraid of using cannabis as medicine. And so we're now really in a different era where people are choosing medications that are right for their bodies. They want to be more involved in their medical care, and cannabis is an option for some people. And there are people that misuse it. There are people that have a bad relationship with it. No different than people have a bad relationship with food or gambling or shopping. Things that are benign to others can be harmful to someone else. There are some people that do get into an addictive space with it, but not that much different from some people have an addiction to coffee. Nowhere near cigarette smoking, God forbid, cocaine or heroin, not even in the same realm. It's a stressful world. People have vices. For some people, it's alcohol or cigarette, whatever it may be. For some people, it's praying 50,000 times a day. Don't think that that's not in some way a vice to help them cope.
Surely,
right?
Surely.
So the issue is what's okay is really what we're taught.
Yeah.
And no, you shouldn't use anything that is harmful to yourself or harmful to others.
To me, there are some parallels. I was going to say, remind me, not that I was present, but during Prohibition, I see some parallels at least where people thought, this is negative. We shouldn't be doing this. Some of it was religious based, some of it was other things. And, 20, 30 years from now, this may be very, kind of normal, kind of commonplace.
Yeah.
And the thoughts will be very different than it is now.
2 generations, they're going to be going up to the Dollar Tree and they're going to be picking up cannabinoids. They'll be saying, oh, today I want some CBD, maybe some CBN, and I'll get some CBC for inflammation. And just like you go to your vitamin store, they'll be picking up cannabinoids, they'll be totally normal. And when grandma sits down and says, oh, this was bad, like, and my family kicked me out because of that, they're gonna be like, for what?
When patients leave Green Harvest Health, what do you want them to take away?
I want them, really, there are 3 things that we focus on. I want them to be educated about their health condition, cannabis, how to use it, and know that we're a resource for them to come back to receive further education. I want them to feel empowered, that they have the ability to reclaim their wellness, to redefine it in a way so that they can really listen to their bodies and provide the needed medicine to be able to be in balance. And the last part is really to know that we're empathetic, that we understand how they got there, that having illness is not easy, and that our focus is we're not an illness clinic, we're a wellness clinic. And so we make that shift so that people can focus. I feel like traditional medicine often focuses on the ailment, on the illness, on the diagnosis. We focus on the patient, the person, and their wellness. And I hope that they walk away feeling that. My name is Dr. Bridget Williams. I own Green Harvest Health, and I am American Trade.